Welcome to our Tuesday 52 weeks of scrapbooking project recipes. Today is Tuesday, April 15th, and we are actually on project recipe 15. So thanks for being with me here today. If you're watching live or if you're watching later on YouTube, I appreciate you being here. Make sure if you're on YouTube that you like and subscribe to my channel. And if you need this project recipe and you don't have the book, please sign up for my Scrapbook with Denise Facebook group, and all the links will be with this either on my regular Creative Memories Facebook page or on YouTube. And I'm just checking to make sure that I am live before I get started. We'll just wait a minute and just see how everybody's doing. Okay, so let's get started. And so again, so we're doing week 15, and it's either the Revved Up if you're in the book, or on my Facebook page, it's the Happy Camper. I have completed the Happy Camper one, so I wanted to show you that. This is going to be a very quick, very easy project recipe to do, and very versatile, and holds 6 pictures. You can use peekaboo pockets. So what you're going to need for this one is you're going to need only 4 sheets of paper. So you're going to need 2 matching sheets for your base paper, and then 1 sheet that we are going to cut these 4 triangles out of, and then the second one will be mats. This page, even if you don't cut mats, this would be a good page to still use mats because that's going to be your only color contrast there. And let's just checking something else here. Because I still, there we go. I see us now. Perfect. Okay, so what I am going to be doing is I have some beach pages that I'm going to be using. So I have 2 pieces of sand for the background. This statement piece is the one that I'm going to cut the 4 triangles out of. And then I have 1 piece of shimmer, and I'm hoping that this color is going to be good. You can, and dark enough. You can see here they use like the teal or deep sea green to kind of pop out. Hoping that that works. You're going to need your 12-inch trimmer, your border maker with a knockout style. Okay, so that would be where it's just going to punch out this shape. So this one was using one of the paw prints. I am going to use, I was thinking either the sandals or the bare feet, and I think for the pictures I'm going to use the feet, the footprints. But I mean, any knockout, you can use the chevron arrows, you can use the animal stripes. So anything that knocks out, which means it stays attached to your paper, okay? And that then the paper underneath is going to show through. So let me get set up. I've said not lots to cut today, so it will go very quickly. Now, if you read the instructions, it says here to fold piece A. So this is going to be my piece A. All right, the designer paper. We're first going to cut it at 11.5 by 11.5. So we're going to cut, you can either just cut 1/2 inch off each side, but I'm actually going to cut it at 11.5. And I played with my camera today, so now I'm just making sure that I have it in the screen. So we're going to go 11.5 by 11.5. Let's bring this up a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. And rotate this and cut it at 11.5. So we have 11.5-inch square. These are extra, so you can put those aside. Now what it says, it's supposed to be folding it corner to corner, create a triangle. Give myself some room here. And then it says, cut along the diagonal with the 12-inch trimmer. Well, if you open it up, it's not going to cut, right? It's too big. So basically what I did though is, because we're going to make 4, is I actually folded in half again. Or actually what I did is you could fold it in half so you know just where the corner is you want to cut here. Let me come up here. Right? So then I just placed it on here and I cut at my mark. Right? So I have the point down here and I'm going to cut that in half. And then we're going to do that again. So we're going to open it with the long at the top. Now this piece, just let me check this. This should be 11.5, and it is, so we're good. So we're going to cut this in half again. Again, as long as your point. So we have 2 triangles, and then we're going to take this one and open that again. So let me review that with you. I have another piece of paper. So we should have 4, and they should measure approximately 11.5. And your folds, you won't see those. So let's just do that again. This piece hasn't been cut down. It's still 12 by 12. So again, just fold it in half. Kind of mark it where that top part is. Always cut the longest edge in half. Mark your point and your top. Cut it in half. Open that up. Biggest piece at the top again. And cut those other 2 in half, lining up the point and the top. Right. And that will give us 4 once I cut this one. So that's paper A cut. We're going to leave and cut the borders out of those in a minute. But let's finish up with our 12-inch trimmer. And we're going to be cutting the mats. So let's get your designer paper 2. And I just used a shimmer cardstock for that instead. And we are going to cut 2 4x6s. So for B and C. And then we are going to cut 2 4.5, actually 4 4.5 by 5. So we're going to cut that in half at 4 inches. Rotate that to 5 1/4. So that won't be along the edge here. It's going to be the last ding that you see here. The last little tick will be 5 1/4. And again at 5 1/4. So you'll have a little piece left over. And we're going to do that again. Cut this 4-inch piece at 5 1/4. As long as they're all the same size, that whichever tick mark you use. And 5 1/4. And that means we are done with our 12-inch trimmer. So let's bring out our border maker. And we are going to bring out our 4 pieces. Now we're going to be cutting them again at the 11.5 inch. So you're going to want the biggest piece, right? And so let me just bring out my 13-inch mat. Move those out of the way. Right, so these pieces should be 11.5, which they are. And that's the corner that we are going to punch on, not the short sides. We're going to be punching on the long sides. Get these out of the way. So we have our border maker. I'm going to use the footprints. So now you're going to line your paper up in here. So line it up. Try to make it as close to each, that you have the same distance on each side. Just kind of eyeball that. And then you're going to have to carefully punch these. Right, so you can see, if you see, I have little footprints off the ends, and that's okay. And you can decide if you want, maybe you just want to stop there, but I'm going to go the whole way. So there's our first page. So we're going to do that 4 times. You could keep your little punch outs if you'd like to. So let's do that again. And try to line it up where you did last time. If you want, you can make a little mark on there. So remember, if you don't have the book, you can jump over to my Scrapbook with Denise Facebook page, and I will have the original Happy Camper there for you. The links will be below on YouTube. And maybe even if you have the book, you still would like to have the original one. I like comparing them, and actually didn't compare them like we normally do today because they are identical. So we'll do this one. And this will be 3. And one more. Now, if you, I'll show you that after. Let me just get this last one so I don't lose where I'm at. But maybe I will show you now. See, when you put them on the page, that the top ones are going to be going one way and the bottom ones are going to be going a different direction. If you wanted them to all go the same way, what you would do, it would be to put this paper in upside down on 2 of them. Then all your footprints would be going the same way. So something to consider when you're cutting them. If you want them to be different directions on the top and the bottom, or if you want them all to be the same way. And I can actually show you that on that other one that I cut, but we'll finish this layout first. Okay, we are done and ready to put this together. So I will get my other 13-inch mat. I will get my silicone mat because we're going to be using Repo. And let's see if I can line these all up so that we can see all of this. And my 2 base pages, which are the sand. Again, let's see which way I want. Same direction. I think that's the way I want the sand. Yeah, I think I'll have the sand that way. And all you're going to do is line up. You'll have about 1/4 of an inch on each side, and they'll be right at the top. Now here's what I said about the feet. So I've got these top feet going this way and the bottom feet are going this way. If I wanted my feet all to go the same way, you can't see that, maybe you can. You would flip it over, and I will, like I said, I will do that on that scrap one that I had cut. 3, 4. So let's get those attached, because I actually have pictures for this layout, and I also want to talk about the border. They have a border here. I want to talk about that. So I would use Repo, and this one's almost empty, of course, at the bottom where the feet are. And if you want, you can just use a regular tape runner. This little top piece, I might use Repo also. Line up your page. And like I said, about 1/4 of an inch it should be on each side. And then you can see that the sand comes through the color. So you want a contrasting color on your base so that it will show through on your paper. And of course I ran out, so let's get some more. Always keep enough Repo and regular tape runner in your own personal stock. I always seem to go through more Repo than regular. And again, if you're trying to put this in, it only goes in one way. I mean, if you try to get it, it doesn't. Just flip it over. There's only one way that it goes in. Really simple to use. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so, and basically your tips should be close together. So wherever I'm going to have to pull this a little bit closer to me so that I can see the top. Actually, I can actually just flip it over. That would help. And then that works because they're going to be the same either way. So my tip should be lined up, And I should be at that 1/4 inch. Perfect. And you don't have to be exactly on. We will have mats there, but try to be as close as possible to matching up that tips of your triangles. Okay. Maybe I won't do this one because it'll take time. I will do that after, but I want to show you the mats. And like I said, so we have two that will be going vertically. Your 4x6, so your four that you had that were for, they were, how big again? 4x5 1/4. They're going to go at the bottom and the top, and your large ones are going to go across here. Now I don't want to attach these yet because I want to look at the borders. So if we go back to the ones that I did with Happy Camper, this is a very thin strip, right, that they have as a border there. Now I am using, sorry, I have it here, vitamin C. And I don't have any border strips left, but I do have the laser cuts. All my borders I've used already. So they're all gone, except for some of these bubbles, and I don't have a whole strip of bubbles left there, so I can't use those ones. So I was trying to see if any of these would work with the pictures that I have. And it's only going to go on the top of this one and the bottom here. So I can bring down my mats and bring up my mats to see if any of these borders. Now I have these ones. I thought I might like these, but it's pretty wide and it takes away from, you don't even see my footprints. So let's see what's a little bit thinner. There's these sunglasses. The blue on blue doesn't work, and they're double-sided. There are these sunglasses. I don't know. I might have to look at punching one because all of the rest, these are really big, right? And they're just, unless I put it over my picture. Let's get my pictures because I actually have them cut down. And again, I'm not going to attach my mats until I figure out my borders. So we have, and let me just put a little bit of repo, and they're all cut down. Now, if you look at the project recipe says to cut your photos to be 5.5 by 3.5 and 3.5 by 4 3/4. I didn't do that. I did mine 1/4 inch bigger, so I have less of a border around it. I did 5 3/4 by 3 3/4 and 3 3/4 by 5. So I made my pictures a little bit bigger to have less of a border. So let's just, and I'm just hoping that this border isn't too light. That was my concern, that it might be too light, but we're looking okay. This is just from our trip that we just got back from. And I might have to go to a different collection or punch a different border. Okay. Well, here's another tip, and I always do this. Be careful that when you put your pictures down here and you've got some tape runner, these will, your pictures, mine do because I print them at home, will pick up some of that tape runner, and they don't like that being on the this, whatever it's called, where I use for my tape runner. So I'm not knowing. I don't know about the border. I think I don't really like any of them. I think they're too big and they take away from my footprints. So maybe what I might do is go to some of my plain colored ones, borders that I have, that little border strips. I have some older ones, and use those here instead. But that's how easy this page is. It adds a statement to it, and you know, it might even just be okay just like that, right? Maybe we don't even need anything else. So again, so that's using vitamin C. Here's the one using Happy Camper. And again, as I said, you can see the footprints go the different ways. So let's go and get those pieces that I had cut. And I'm just going to do 2 of them, and we'll just show on a page. And, you know, since I still have the footprints out, let's just use that. And I want to show you how, if you want them to go the same direction. Oh. So let's bring in this piece. Silicone mat, that's the word. I think I need to put names on things, because once I'm recording, you know, your memory kind of goes and you're in the zone. The other thing is, if you're cutting and you're using your silicone mat to catch all the little punch pieces that punch out, they don't like coming off of that very easily. They stick, but that's what I have under there. Okay, so we have one set of feet with this plaid type on this top. Okay, so my feet are going to the right. So this one I'm going to turn over, and I'm going to use this darker purple side. All right, this piece is a little bigger because I didn't cut it down to 11.5. If you're wondering why it fit the whole punches, because I put this down to 11.5 by 11.5. Okay, so I have these 2 cuts. You get rid of these because they're going to just stick to that. And let's see if I have a piece of white cardstock handy. So now, maybe I need a darker color so you can see. It's on the back of this one. Yeah, can't see that very well. I'll go this way. Okay, well, you can see here, I'm going to use this dark side. My feet prints are going to the right. And I'm going to turn this one upside down, and my feet print are going to the right. So that was a way. So think about that. Do you want them going different directions? Then punch them with the same side up. If you want them going the same direction, turn one over and punch it on the reverse side, right? Okay, so that's a little tip for doing that. And again, post your completed pages on my Scrapbook with Denise Facebook page. And thanks for joining me again today. Next week we will be working on number 16, which is for you to get ready. It's Denim Revival, and it's going to be silver and gold. So we're working on that next week. And happy scrapping, and we'll see you all again soon. Thanks for joining me today.